So originally I wanted to cover this as one video, but to understand Cotton, we've got to look into his past so that we can see what made Cotton into Cotton.
Grandpa Cotton Hill, Hell, USA? Bobby, why'd you write this? You know your grandpa lives in Houston.
Mom says he's the devil.
Peggy, how can you tell Bobby that?
I said evil, Hank. How you get devil from that is beyond me.
Hey folks, welcome to Squirrel Tactics. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out our Patreon. And we've got another new top tier patron. So, Andrew Minturn, this one's for you.
All right. Someone's insane. Look out, someone's insane.
I got my eye on you, nutcase.
Alright, now let's get to it. Okay, so if we're going to talk about Cotton, we need to start at the beginning. Okay, not that beginning. There you go, Cheese. Come on now, man, he's not that old. Cotton Lyndall Hill. We know his middle name because of Hank's birth certificate, voiced by Toby Huss.
Archie, the strongest man in the world.
Yep, that's right, already voiced Cotton. As far as when Cotton was born, yes, as far as we know, he was actually born.
Somehow I always pictured a pod situation.
Well, we don't know exactly when, but we have an idea based off of what he said in When Cotton Comes Marching Home.
I ain't no stinkhouse porter. You think a shinless man can't remove asbestos? I'll show you what a 75-year-old shinless man can remove.
So he was 75 in 2000 when the episode is set, meaning that he would have had to have been born around 1925. Though this does contradict Shins of the Father, where Cotton claims that he was 14 when he signed up to serve in World War II.
I was 14, just a little older than Bobby, but I knew Uncle Sam needed me.
If he was born in 1925 and the U.S. declared war on Japan on December 8th, 1941, the day after Pearl Harbor,
a date which will live in infamy,
then he would have been 16 when America went to war. Most likely he was 16 when he signed up and was simply embellishing, imagine that. Which isn't out of the question for underage boys to sign up to go fight. My grandfather did that. Yes, we fought in World War II, there are Japanese squirrels. As far as his birth and his mother, all we ever hear is from Cotton on his deathbed in Death Picks Cotton, and I'm pretty sure this isn't true. Dear God, I hope it's not true.
I wants to die alone just like I was born. My mother died sleeping in her apartment. That's right, Hank. I birthed myself, tore myself right out of her uterus.
Yeah, according to Cotton, his birth was tearing his way out of his dead mother. Not gonna lie, I don't remember that part until making this video, which was probably for the best. Anywho, we don't know much about Cotton's childhood outside of him attending Fort Burke Military Academy, which he actually referred to as his childhood home.
Is that all the respect you got for me? You go and turn my childhood home into a giant sissy factory.
So I'm guessing he spent a decent amount of time there, and when he recollects about his one-legged principal, we see one of the few occasions where Cotton actually cries.
He'd lean on a desk with both hands and swing his leg at you. Then when you were standing there shocked that a one-legged man had kicked you, he'd bite you. Oops. Well, how you like that? Must have over-reminisced and brought up my pain water. Oh. P-diddle.
We also know from Hank Gets Dusted that Cotton had a brother, that brother being the father of Dusty Hill from ZZ Top.
I couldn't take money from my brother's boy. Dusty's always been like a son to me.
I'm your son.
I suppose.
Going off of real life, Dusty's dad was named James, so I'm gonna say that Cotton had a brother named James.
Hey, Hank.
No.
Don't worry, Hank. We're just here selling butt-fours.
What's a butt? No.
Oh, and in that episode, we learned what Cotton named his Cadillac car.
I guess I didn't realize how much Marlena meant to you.
Well, how could you not know that?
Well, sometimes I don't think, boy.
Yeah, don't worry. All of that was for show because they were filming a reality show in that episode. It's a whole thing. So Cotton went to Burke, signed up for the army when he was around 16, but what all did Cotton do in the war? Well, many may not be aware of this, but he may have killed 50 men.
You must be very proud, Mr. Hill.
Of course I am. I killed 50 men. I killed 50 men. I killed 50 men.
By the way, I'm well aware of the fact that the comment section of this video is going to be nothing but I killed 50 men. There are going to be so many double D's down there. Now, we have to go off of war stories told by Cotton, who ain't exactly the most reliable narrator, and I figured the best way to try and get all of these stories in here is to do a good old-fashioned montage.
And I was tired too when I was ordered to retake Munda Airfield in the Solomon Islands. But I retook it anyway.
Hands off, girlie. I didn't fight off a bunker full of horny privates to let you cop a field.
Told Joe had a machine gun nest high up on a hill. Had my whole unit pinned down. So I snuck myself behind enemy lines in a 55-gallon drum of sake. 45 seconds. New record.
I think you cut my ear.
I think you cry more than the guy I killed out from under that helmet. You think I can't do it? I've done everything for this country. I gave my shins to beat the Tojos. I bit a Nazi's windpipe in half. Tojo had me cooped up in a bamboo rat cage. There was nothing to eat except rats. So that's what I ate. After 2 weeks, I was down to my last rat. I let him live so I could eat his droppings. Called it jungle rice. Tasted fine. Yeah, I severed his windpipe with a 2-foot strand of dental floss I kept in my boot. And that's why it's always important to carry dental floss. 1944. I crawled through a minefield to retrieve General MacArthur's corncob pipe. That's right, I'm a hero.
The Battle of Angio, 30th day of January 1944. We caught the Krauts with their pants down and their schnitzel exposed.
We'd taken the beach by noon, the town by nightfall. I could still taste the Chianti out of that signora's navel. You finished?
Buh, you died.
I learned to slow my heart rate to near death so the Tojos would stop torturing me for a second. Held my breath till they got good and drunk. And then I jumped out, spitting alcohol into my support. Yep, I highbotched the whole squad. Now you listen to me, Junior. I led a platoon of men through the jungles of Saipan. I think I can lead a party of 4 to table 6. By September, I was finally thin enough to slip between the bamboo bars of my cage. I strangled the guard with a rope made of braided rat tails and ran to safety. Now you listen to me. I spent 2 weeks on Iwo Jima, buried under a pile of bodies. The things I smelled, you can't even imagine. But I'll never forget what I smelled that day in the church. We had beat the Nazis in Italy, and they shipped us to the Pacific Theater. A Tojo torpedo sent our troop ship to the bottom. I could only save 3 of my buddies. Patty, Stinky, and Brooklyn. They were kind of like you fellas, only one of them was from Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's the maroon Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi? They made the planes that bombed Pearl Harbor. I ain't selling Hitler's canoe to no traitor.
We had a verbal agreement.
Cotton ain't no funny at all, man. He got the POW camp, man. I go bamboo shoots, talking about him putting them in them damn fingernails, man. Don't freak me out about that.
I climbed the cliffs of Normandy with a 50-pound ice cream maker strapped to my back. And you're telling me you can't climb a stupid little hill?
All right, Cotton. Look, I know what you're doing, but I am very tired.
You get to the top of that hill, and I'll let you dance on my grave. Now, suck it up, Stinky. Rained for 17 days straight at Guadalcanal. Didn't hear you complain then. Now, come at me. Like on Okinawa when the Tojos came at me faster than I could gut them, so I had to gut them faster. I don't usually cry unless someone's pulling out my fingernails like you fine folks did so many years ago. Out of the sun came a Tojo Zero and put 50 bullets in my back. The blood attracted sharks. I had to give him fatty.
Did he ever tell you how he survived 8 days in a life raft by trapping rainwater in his upturned eyelids? May 2nd, 45. During the battle for Okinawa, Cotton invented a bayonet technique that is still used to gut men today.
Topsy, remember that kamikaze you gutted back on Iwo? What did he say? Yeah! Then things took a turn for the worse. I made it to an island. But it was full of Tojos. They were spitting on the U.S. flag, so I rushed them. But it was a trap. They opened fire and blew my skins off. Last thing I remember, I beat them all to death with a big piece of fatty. I woke up in a field hospital, and they were sewing my feet to my knees.
I have chosen to highlight only a few of Cotton Hill's many acts of bravery at Guam, the Solomon Islands, Sardinia, and Okinawa.
Dang it, woman, you forgot Munich.
You were never in Munich.
I wasn't? No.
Okay, so a few notes here. One, yes, I left out Hitler's canoe because, let's be honest, that wasn't Hitler's canoe. We know he had a yacht that was sank by Holocaust survivors off the coast of Florida before a hurricane got its hands on the yacht, and now we don't know where it is. Plus, this is not the only mention of Hitler's canoe, since Cotton was either trying to buy it or sell it in Hoya.
Have fun at the swap meet.
I hope you clean the bed liner in your truck. I don't want no dirt on Hitler's canoe.
We have no proof of Hitler having a canoe, so probably not Hitler's canoe. B, this helmet is a Prussian pickelhaube, which was phased out after World War I and therefore wasn't used during World War II, so it's unlikely that Cotton killed a Nazi from out under it. Possible, but unlikely. Also, we don't know how many times Cotton has been shot, but we do know how many bullets were still in him.
Oh, not to mention the 4 rusty bullets previously lodged in his chest cavity, one in his heart.
We've seen the medals he was awarded for his service, including the American Campaign Medal, a Purple Heart, a Silver Star, and the Congressional Medal of Honor, which is the military's highest award. Say what you will about the man, but yeah, he really is a war hero. Anywho, after Kant lost his shins to a Japanese machine gun and his feet were sewn to his knees, supposedly by General MacArthur's personal doctor, who apparently also gave him enough antibiotics to, as he put it,
and prescribed enough antibiotics to cure the French army's clap.
Which, by that point, wouldn't it just be called applause? And during his year in the hospital, he met and fell in love with a Japanese nurse named Michiko, voiced by Amy Hill.
Every day, a Japanese angel would drain my shins of pus and fill my heart with love. It was magical. Then excruciating, which made it all the more magical. I was under strict orders not to fraternize with the conquered women. So we hid our love.
Eventually, Cotton relearned how to walk and was sent back to the U.S. against his will. He did put up a hell of a fight against several guys that were bigger and had clubs no less. Plus, he was probably still getting used to walking on his ankh knees. So yeah, he went down swinging and he was sent back.
During wartime, you don't think about the future, but it comes anyway. I was being shipped out. I did what I could to stay, but it wasn't enough.
Unbeknownst to Cotton, Michiko was pregnant with his child when he was sent back. And I'm willing to bet that if Cotton had known, he'd probably have gone back to Japan.
I left more than my shins in Japan. I left a little piece of my heart. And some seed, I guess, that grew in a Junstero.
Quick note here, Cotton's rank is colonel, however he's shown being shipped back as a private, and there are several explanations that have been brought up to possibly explain this. It could have been a field promotion, he could have been promoted after he got back. But the explanation that most people typically go with is that he earned the rank in the Texas State Militia, though I cannot find any evidence of this in the show. All we know is he somehow got promoted to colonel. Now we needed to go over all of that so that we can understand the next phase of Cotton's life as a post-war civilian. He went off to war as a 6'4", 16-year-old and came back a 19 or 20-year-old that was 5 foot even, with a broken heart and a hearty case of PTSD. If nothing else, you gotta admit that, like many of his generation, he went through a lot at an early age. Okay, let's cut the crap. That man went through a level of hell that most of us could never imagine. And this was what helped make Cotton into Cotton.
I said that fraud used to be 6'4".
So?
When he came back from the Pacific, he was 5 foot even. A Japanese machine gun blew away his shins. The doctor said he'd never walk again. 18 months later, he walked right over to that doctor, reached up, and punched him in the kidneys. Now, I can't prove what he did at those battles. In fact, I don't even know if the part about hitting the doctor is true, but I do know that my dad doesn't have shins, and somehow he walks. And that's pretty heroic to me.
As far as what he did when he got back, well, I'll let his explanation of Michiko do the talking for me, because Cotton says it better than I ever could. I'm humble enough to admit that.
After I got back to America, I had a nice, juicy porterhouse cooked medium rare, just the way I likes them. Then I knocked around a bit. Eventually, I got tired of working for jackasses and decided to make an honest living installing asbestos into schools and hospitals. Got married twice, one ugly, one hot, and had 2 sons, Hank and my baby, Good Hank.
The insulation thing comes up again in When Cotton Comes Marching Home, where Cotton mentioned that it's how he made a living for years.
Getting back into the insulation business. Same work that kept your mother in J.C. Penney's skirts and paid for your glasses all them years. Fur eyes.
And then he's more specific in a job interview on just how much asbestos he supervised installing.
I supervised the installation of asbestos in every public school in Heimlich County and 11 bowling alleys.
It should also be added that we know how many women Cotton has slept with thanks to Returning Japanese.
How could you not know you had another son? How many women have you slept with? 5? 6?
273.
Keep in mind that the majority of those were probably prostitutes, seeing as Cotton apparently has a thing for prostitutes, and has seen quite a few of them in many different places.
Do I know you?
I don't think so.
You ever worked Houston?
No.
Vegas?
No.
Tijuana?
No.
Reno?
No.
The Philippines?
No.
Bangkok?
I think I would have remembered you.
Don't be so sure, sweet cheeks. I've been known to give a girl amnesia.
We'll get back to the prostitutes later, though. Oh, and he's also not a fan of Franklin Roosevelt.
Sorry I'm late. I had to stop by the Wax Museum again and give the finger to FDR.
At some point, Cotton met and married Tilly, and, yeah, they didn't have the best marriage.
Rub-a-dub-dub, I think I'm in love.
And they didn't have the best marriage pretty much because Cotton was a holy terror to live with, at least partially due to a literal shit ton of trauma that he'd yet to deal with, which made him aggressive and untrusting of others, even his wife.
I ever tell you about the time she tried to poison me with a baked chicken?
It was chicken almondine.
It was cyanide, woman.
Honestly, I don't really think Cotton gave a crap about Tilly outside of how she could be useful to him.
It was unseasonably warm that day, and all I wanted was
a glass of water. Suck on a pebble and keep looking storked out.
Also, Cotton was misogynistic. I will give him some leniency because his attitude towards women was mostly the product of his upbringing. A little bit more on that here in a second. As well as being a man of his time, even if he apparently wasn't technically physically abusive.
Hank, what'd you do to your wife? I didn't teach you that.
But even with that being said, he was a shitty husband, and he totally deserved it when Tilly finally left him. And yes, he was a shitty father to Hank, who came along during an assassination attempt on Fidel Castro at Yankee Stadium.
Have a cigar, you weak-chinned Cuban son of a bitch!
With Hank embarrassingly being born in the ladies' room of the stadium, something that a lot of people would love to have as a backstory, but it brought Hank much shame, I tell you what.
Go, go, go! You're running for 2, woman!
Oh, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Also, apparently, Hank had the same birthday as the day that Cotton got his Cadillac car.
I still remember the day he brought that car home. It was on my birthday. After that, it became known as the car's birthday. Now we'll finally be able to celebrate together.
So, Cotton as a father, yeah, he had what was more or less the typical fathering style of the time, which was very no-nonsense, like we saw in a flashback in the pilot episode.
I got my shins blown off by a Japan man's machine gun. So don't come crying to me with your problems.
And we see several instances of Cotton's harmful parenting. Parenting is like holding Jell-O in your hand. If you make a fist, it just squeezes through your fingers. But if you lay your hand out flat, it just falls out. See, it's a middle ground thing. Cotton was very much of a fist kind of dad, like we hear about in Square Peg.
My daddy told me the facts of life when I was Bobby's age, and I turned out okay.
Hey, what you crying for, boy? It's a good show. This is a damn good show.
Yeah. That's also how he taught me about paying taxes.
Or his less than stellar shooting lessons from how to fire a rifle without really trying.
What are you waiting for, boy? Pull the trigger! Make some noise! You're never gonna be a war hero like me if you shoot like that. No wonder that kid from the playground stole your pail. He knows you can't shoot.
I want my binky back.
You want your binky back? You gotta come in firing. Now, try again.
And let's not forget about his version of doing the dishes that we saw in Escape from Party Island.
I'll help you with your dishes.
Mom, what should I do? Mom!
Nor his way of building and cleaning tree houses, though at least he did build Hank a treehouse.
Using a saw for a weapon makes about as much sense as using a gun to cut a 2x4. That's how my dad built my treehouse. How he cleaned it, too.
In that vein, it's worth noting that at some point, Hank and Cotton began a tradition of shooting a yearly Christmas tree.
Come on, Hank. Let's go shoot us a Christmas tree.
Well, Dad, you know how much I love to yell, ready, aim, timber, but this year Mr. Strickland bought me a tree.
And if you're wondering what that would look like, well, it looked like this. I do wish he'd have said ready, aim, timber, but hey, at least he took Hank to the tea kettle. When it came to the other kids, Cotton seemed to be easier on them, though not significantly easier. But again, he was what a lot of dads were at the time, so he probably treated them about the same as their own fathers. Whether it was doing things like the Order of the Straight Arrow in the episode of the same name.
Now for the final test. The snipe hunt. Not gonna sugarcoat it. Some of you ain't coming back. Those who survive will be honored members of the Order of the Straight Arrow. Those who don't will be dead.
Remember how we'd ride back from Boy Scouts and I'd talk too much and Cotton would throw me in the trunk? It was like a crazy roller coaster back there, bouncing around with all those guns.
Yeah, man, I'm talking about it on good times, man.
Question. Are you ready?
Yeah!
You flunked the test of silence, Eustace. Give me a silent stick. For the rest of your long, miserable life, you will carry the scar of failure. Now go get me a beer.
I'd like to point out that Eustace, who fails his trial, is also the guy that Cotton refused to sell his special canoe to. Oh, and yeah, snipe aren't real for those that are unaware.
And you boys get out there and bag some snipe.
Buck mentions in Meet the Propaniacs that he and Cotton have a history with each other.
Bobby, you're a funny boy. Yeah, I used to chase skirt with your granddaddy. He's a mean kind of funny.
And with that said, it brings us to the next part of the video.
And that's when the whores come in.
Here we go.
Excuse me, what was that?
Let's not forget about the time in Shins of the Father that Cotton took Hank and the guys to the Hotel Arlen.
Hotel Arlen. We're not that kind of hotel anymore.
Yeah, well, this was back when they were that kind of hotel, which was exactly why Cotton brought the guys down there after they won the state semifinal game. I'm guessing it's a state semifinal. It said big game, and they didn't win state.
Hank, you won the big game. So, I'm buying you and your friends hookers. Now go on, boy, pick yourself out a live one.
Hey there, Mr. Quarterback.
You know, part of me wonders if any of the guys took Cotton up on its offer, and another part of me wonders if this is the real story of how Bill met Lenore. But prostitution seems to be something that Cotton has absolutely no issue with. I mean, technically it is a victimless crime. We know from Serves Me Right for giving General George S. Patton the bathroom key that Cotton was a frequent enough visitor that he was remembered by some women of the evening.
So, you knew my father, apparently? Is there anything you can tell me about him?
Yes. Of all his platoon mates, Cotton was the most curious and inventive lover.
Cotton tries to do the same thing for Bobby. Yes, he wanted to buy his 13-year-old grandson a hooker.
Bobby, I'm proud of you for what you did at school today. So I'm buying you a hooker. Go ahead, pick yourself out a live one.
A live one what?
But I think this is Cotton's way of showing love. I'm willing to bet that the night before he shipped out for the army, his dad probably bought him a hooker. Hell, it's possible that Cotton celebrated every milestone in his life by visiting a hooker. But with him trying to purchase some services for his son and grandson, it's most likely a callback to his youth and how he was raised, probably by a father not too different from himself. It's messed up, but it's his twisted version of love. By the way, Cotton had a rather different reaction when Hank broke his ankle in the state championship, leading to Arlen losing the game as we see in Bois My Nose.
This is your fault. And you got them weak ankles from your mommy. 'Cause I didn't have no ankles when I did it to her.
And yeah, Cotton does have a penchant for blaming Tilly for any failings of Hank, including his narrow urethra.
He gets that from his mother. Mine's so damn wide I could pass the child myself if I had to.
Even though his eldest son Junichiro also has a narrow urethra. So it's probably from Cotton. Though if we use cartoon logic, Junichiro looks like Tilly because they just wanted a Japanese looking Hank. So if he got his looks from Tilly, why wouldn't he get his narrow urethra from her too? That's pretty much all we know about Cotton before his first appearance, and if we look back at his life, it makes sense to an extent as to why he is how he is.
It must be made of kryptonite or something.
Now, for crying out loud!
Oh, good Lord, Cotton. You gave him a loaded shotgun?
Well, you don't give a toy without batteries. Come and get your Tootsie Rolls!
There are a lot of men that were part of Cotton's generation that were exactly the same way. I know I've mentioned my grandpa's hatred of Mitsubishi before, and different folks dealt with their PTSD in different ways. Some through alcoholism, some by burying it deep within in a pit of anger like a tiger trap. I'm not a psychiatrist, but it's clear that Cotton is a product of all the shit he crawled through in his life, growing up during the Great Depression, heading off to war while still a child, just to experience horrific things that most of us could never imagine. Then to lose his shins and deal with the long-term issues that come with it. You don't just crawl through that much shit and come out clean. I'm not defending Cotton's behavior. He's a bitter, mean-spirited old man who takes it out on everyone that could possibly love him. Well, other than Bobby and Baby GH. I'm simply stating that he's not too far off from a lot of the men of his generation, and the sheer amount of anger, pain, regret, and fear that has eaten away at this man like a ferret nibbling on his soul is what created the man who first appeared in Shins of the Father. But that's a story for another video, and hopefully you've enjoyed this one. If I missed anything, let me know. Mix it in down with all the I killed 50 men's in the comments there. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you next time. Bye, Cabot Cheese.
All right, General Mills. Now I'm letting your son take care of you. You have to promise to be a good boy. Do you recognize your son?
Yep, he's Benedict Darling.